visionario. Ha transformado la manera en que millones de personas entienden la comunicación. Es experto en el arte de hablar con poder y, sobre todo, en la escucha consciente, una habilidad que considera esencial y olvidada. Sus charlas han sido vistas más de 150 millones de veces y sus enseñanzas han llegado a miles alrededor del mundo. Ha asesorado por más de 2 décadas a grandes marcas sobre el uso eficaz del sonido. Con ustedes, Julian Treasure.
Listen. That is the wonderful sound of thousands of people consciously listening. You knew you were doing something. It's a very important sound because listening is the foundation for all our relationships at home, in teams, at work, in organizations, in society. Democracy relies on listening. Actually, listening affects only 3 things in your life, but they are 3 very important things: your happiness, your effectiveness, and your well-being. So in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to teach you how to listen consciously. Is that okay? You're with me on that? Excellent. Well, let's start by asking the question, what is listening? It's not hearing. You hear everything. Hearing is a capability. Listening is a skill. It's a skill you can practice and master. My definition of listening is making meaning from sound. You select certain things to pay attention to, and then you make them mean something. Now, there's a very, very important realization here, which most people don't have. Most people think everybody listens like I do. They don't. Your listening is unique. It's as unique as your fingerprints. Because you listen through a set of filters, the language you learn to speak, the culture you're born into, the values, attitudes, and beliefs that you gather along the way. And in any given situation, you might have intentions, expectations, assumptions, especially about what's going on in somebody else's head. And you might have emotions going on. It's harder to listen when you have strong emotion. Taken together, these things actually create your reality. Now, there are 2 really important realizations that flow from this understanding. The first is that now I've told you, you listen through a set of filters, you start to understand that you have a listening position. You're listening from somewhere. And for most of us, that position is a bit like a bunker. We've created it over the years. Those filters are fixed. We're not even aware of them. We listen in a particular way. So the first realization is that you can change your listening position by challenging those assumptions, by asking yourself, where is the best place I could listen from in this conversation? That's very powerful. Now, you can't change other people's listening positions, but you can be sensitive to them. You can start to understand that everybody listens differently and that you always speak into a listening. I'm doing it now. I have a wonderful listening. You're all sitting, looking attentive. I have a microphone and a big sound system, so I'm in a pretty good position here. That's a listening that I'm speaking into. It changes from audience to audience, from person to person, and from time to time. Your listening changes through the day. So, very important question to ask yourself if you want to be a powerful speaker. What's the listening I'm speaking into? Become sensitive to that. That's how you hit the bullseye instead of missing the target altogether. Now, if listening is so important, why don't we listen? Because all the research shows that listening is declining. We are losing our listening. It starts with education. Here are the 4 ways we communicate: reading, writing, speaking, listening. 2 for the eyes, 2 for the ears, 2 that send, 2 that receive. And presented here with the equal weight. Is that how we teach them in school? I don't think so. It's more like this, isn't it? We barely teach children how to speak as a skill. We assume they'll just pick it up naturally. And almost no schools teach listening as a skill. Don't you think this is crazy? I do. If we taught children how to listen really well in the first place, how much more of their education would they receive? Now, there are a few other reasons we don't listen. Here's one. Noise, noise, noise. Half of humanity live in cities now, and we're surrounded by noise like this. And if the sound around you is unpleasant like that all the time, your attitude towards sound becomes like this. We don't think about it very much. We suppress it. We become numb, so we don't listen. I'll give you another reason we don't listen. Social media. Taking a lot of attention. And Scott Peck, the American author, said, you cannot truly listen to another person and do anything else at the same time. I am listening to you. No, you're sending a text. That's different. So social media definitely are taking our attention, fragmenting our listening, and they're causing conversations like this. Now, I hope none of you have ever sent this or received this, but it does get sent and it does get received. Where's the listening in that conversation? And there's one more thing, which is an epidemic now across the world, which is stopping us listening and causing conflict everywhere. Being right. Being right. The easiest way to be right is to make somebody else wrong. You're wrong, I'm right, I feel better about myself. And you only have to look at the comments under a YouTube video or a newspaper article to see the hatred, the bile, the aggression, the anger that's there, that people are now expressing in this mistaken belief that it's a zero-sum game. Do you know something? 2 people can be very different in their opinions and both be right because they have different perspectives, different experiences. It's not a zero-sum game. Now, losing our listening is serious because it leads to a lot of very bad consequences. The disconnection you can see all around us as you think about the world. Lost productivity at work, where noise is the number 1 problem and communication is a big issue. Sickness. Noise causes so much sickness. It's costing tens of billions in Mexico every year. But you never get a politician saying, vote for me, I'll make it quieter. It's not a political issue. And not listening creates conflict. We're seeing that, sadly, rising all over the world. Violence, even war. And we are committing ecocide. We're killing the environment. Now, I'll give you 5 reasons to listen, very important reasons to listen, if I haven't given you enough already. Here are the first 4. Listening is how we learn. Pythagoras in ancient Greece used to erect a screen in front of the teacher, so his students couldn't see the teacher, on the basis that seeing was distracting from the real business of learning, which is listening. Listening is how you lead. How can you lead a team if you don't listen to them, understand their strengths, weaknesses, fears, aspirations? Listening is how we persuade. Any great salesperson will tell you the most important part of the sales conversation is not the speaking, it's the listening. And actually, interestingly, the latest research shows us that most salespeople have it round the wrong way. They speak 2/3 of the conversation and listen 1/3. The secret for closing more is to reverse that. Speak 1/3, listen 2/3. And of course, listening is how we relate. It underpins all our relationships. What's the most common complaint in relationships? You never listen to me. Now, there's a fifth wonderful reason for listening, which is sound is very, very powerful, and sound is wondrous. And I'm going to take you on a little 2-minute tour through those things. Sound affects you and me in 4 ways, every day, all day. Here's the first. That was quite gentle, but a little shot of cortisol, your fight-flight hormone. If your alarm clock at home sounds like that, please change it. Not good for you to wake up to an alarm like the clue's in the name, isn't it? Alarm clock. So try and change that. And you can use sound for good as well. These charts on the red side, you see the bad things noise can do. On the green side, you see the good things sound can do. This is gentle surf, a lovely sound to go to sleep to. If you ever have sleeping problems, it's a great one to use. I won't leave it on for too long right now, for obvious reasons. The second way sound changes, so that's sound changing your body. The second way sound changes us or affects us is our feelings. Music is the most obvious example of this. This is a musical sound. See if it makes you feel something. The wonderful sonic logo at THX. But music's not the only sound that changes our feelings. Birdsong does that too. Makes people feel secure and happy, because we've learned over hundreds of thousands of years, when the birds are singing, things are normally safe and okay. Also, nature's alarm clock. It's a great sound to work to, birdsong. The third way sound affects you is your cognition, how well you can think.
You'd have to be a pretty exceptional person to be able to understand two people talking at the same time.
You can't do it, can you? We have bandwidth for about 1.6 conversations. So if you're working in a noisy office like this, particularly if somebody behind you is talking and you can hear them, your productivity is reduced by up to 2/3. That is happening all over the world as we open plan the entire world, tragically. The final way sound affects you is it affects what you do, your behavior. So I've got a bottle of wine here because they did a wonderful trial on this. A supermarket with displays of French wine and German wine, identical visually. And all they did was to alternate this with this. So one day French music, one day German music, and they kept that going for weeks and weeks. What happened on the French music days? French wine outsold German wine by 5 bottles to 1, which may not be too surprising. It does sell more in the world, but, and it's a very, very big but, on the German music days, German wine outsold French wine by 2 bottles to 1. Most people had not noticed the music. This was not, German music, therefore I should buy German wine. No, no, no. This is how powerfully sound is affecting your behavior and mine every day. Now, if that's the case, I think we need to listen more carefully and become more conscious, don't you? I said sound is wondrous. Do you know that we're all children of sound, actually? This is a picture of the cosmic microwave background radiation. The moment when photons were unbundled, light could move in the universe, and it fixed like a photograph this, which we can see in this wonderful picture by Planck telescope. Now, what this picture is actually showing is differences in density in the early universe, 400,000 years after it was formed. If those differences in density hadn't been there, we wouldn't be here. There would be no galaxies, no stars, and those differences in density were created by sound waves. couldn't see anything in the early universe, there was lots of sound. And the sound is what created that pattern. And a professor in America has actually condensed the first 400,000 years of the universe into 10 seconds. And I'll play it to you now. It goes down because as the universe got bigger, the sound waves got longer and the pitch got deeper. Now, there's wonderful sound on our planet, too. This is a snapping shrimp. Snapping shrimps make a little snapping noise. Now, I say little. If you measure that at source just by its claw, it's 150 decibels. That is 4 times louder than the loudest rock concert ever measured. They are incredible that pound for pound, these guys are the loudest creatures on the planet. But they wouldn't hurt our ears because the sound would be quite far away. You don't want to be next to one of these if they're calling though. A blue whale, their sound is largely subsonic, below what we can hear. I'm going to play you his amazing call, and this will test the subwoofers of this sound system. That's a blue whale. This sound can travel 1,500 kilometers across the ocean, almost the entire width of an ocean, or at least it could, until we had 60,000 ships making a lot of noise in the oceans and deafening the whales. They're now down to around 1/10 of their former range, which is a problem because they're solitary animals and they needed to call over that distance to find each other. One more amazing sound I'll play you, and it's not from this planet at all. In the Perseus galaxy cluster, there is a supermassive black hole, which is vibrating the clouds of gas around it and creating real sound waves. Now, they're too low for us to hear, but NASA has pitch shifted them up. And if you think a black hole should sound spooky, you're right. That is the sound of a black hole. So if I have, I hope, convinced you that listening is not only essential, but also rather wonderful once you become sensitive to the sound around you, I want to give you 4 steps for better listening. And at the end, I'm going to give you a couple of things to take away. You might need your phones to capture a QR code at the end. So if you want to get those ready, please do. First, the 4 C's of conscious listening. First is to be conscious that you're actually doing something. Listening is work. It's an activity. It's a skill you can master. Commitment. Sometimes you have to put everything down to listen to somebody properly. Compassion. Listening to understand somebody else is a beautiful place to listen from. And finally, curiosity. Seeing every other person as an opportunity to learn. Now, that's an amazing thing to do if you're in a long-term relationship. Try listening as if for the first time to the person, not going into, I know what they're going to say now. Try and avoid that. Listen as if for the first time. Let them surprise you all over again. With curiosity, you can do that. The second tool I want to give you is savoring. You can do this when you go home or to an office. Simply close your eyes and ask yourself these 3 questions. Is this sound helpful? Is it helping me to do what I want to do in this space? Is it healthy? Very many sounds we have around us that we're hardly noticing are creating stress in us over a long period of time. And is it making me happy? And if you get a no to any of those 3 questions, helpful, healthy, happy, change it. You can start to design the sound around you. Take responsibility for what you put into your ears. Third, and almost the most important one, is to rediscover silence. Give yourself just a couple of minutes of silence a couple of times a day, maybe 3 minutes twice a day. Wonderful exercise. And if silence makes you uncomfortable, that really means you need to do this. We need to reconnect with silence. It's the baseline for all sound. It's the most important sound of all. And you can recalibrate your ears, refresh them, and listen anew. And finally, an exercise I want you to take away for conflict, PAVE. P stands for paraphrase. So that sounds like what I just heard you say is this. Did I get you? You're checking you received what was sent. That's not always the case, is it? The A is admit, which is allow them to be right. Even if you disagree, admit it into yourself. Don't fight it. You don't have to agree with it. Just let them be right. You don't have to be told off for doing something saying something you disagree with. The V, then you have access to V, which is the single biggest thing missing in the world today, I think, validation. What does validation sound like? You know what? I don't agree with you, but I completely understand why you think that. That is so different from that's rubbish or you're wrong, which is just going to create more conflict. And if you've validated, you can then empathize, put yourself in their shoes. Okay, well, if that's what you think and that's what happened, I can see why this was very upsetting for you. It wouldn't have upset me. I see why it upset you. Pave. Wonderful for conflict and negotiation. Ladies and gentlemen, conscious listening always creates understanding. And if, like me, you're concerned about the dying of listening in the world and the conflict that's starting to happen almost everywhere, then there's a couple of things you can do about that. First of all, I'm very excited that my new book, which is out next week in America, this wonderful festival have managed to get early copies. So I'll be signing copies of the book in the bookstore in the lobby after this, special early release copies. Secondly, I invite you to join me in the Listening Society, an online community that I've set up for anybody who wants to reclaim their listening and to generate and regenerate listening in the world. And my gift to you is a week's free membership to come and try it out and see if you like it. And that's a QR code for that. Take that away with you, or that URL will work. And finally, if you want my slides, I always am happy to give you the slides. You can give me some feedback. There's another URL. And it just remains for me to say thank you very much for giving me your listening today. Thank you.